My name's Avery, and I'm doing a community awareness project about human trafficking, and I'm here with our school resource officer to ask him questions about human trafficking.
Hi, I'm Officer Anthony Fondren with the Rogers Police Department. I'm a school resource officer here at Heritage High School. I've been a police officer for 9 years and a school resource officer for 4 of those years. I've been in the National Guard since I was 17. I still am. And I've gone through many different trainings and classes and seminars on this particular subject. It's an unfortunate one that we have to deal with, but it's one I think is very important that we are aware of, and we work as a group and as a community to come together to kind of do the best we can to help out victims.
What are some red flags or indicators that someone might be a victim of human trafficking?
We would say like a massive change in behavior. So when someone is victim to this, it's not something they're usually going to realize at the time of. It's usually whenever something bad or drastic happens that we kind of get clued into it as law enforcement of because usually it's more reactionary than proactive. But if you notice a massive change in a friend's behavior, they're starting to hang out with people they don't normally hang out with, go into cities or towns they don't normally go to, and they're gone for extended periods of time without having a really good reason as to why, they're being real secretive, those could be some red flags. That doesn't necessarily guarantee human trafficking, right? But when something like that happens to somebody you're close to and there's no explanation, no reasoning as to why, it's definitely a reason to start asking questions.
Mhm. How can members of the community help identify and report potential trafficking situations?
So that's going to be kind of situational, right? What we've had happen in the past is a bystander will notice something unusual. They'll see a girl who is, waving them out like, hey, help. They'll see a note that was left in the bathroom like, hey, I'm being kidnapped. Please come help me. I'm at this place. We're going to this next gas station, stuff like that. Just being aware. And if you see something unusual, calling it out, saying something if you're comfortable doing so. Some people aren't. So, we're not going to ask anybody to put themselves in a dangerous situation or do anything that would make them feel uncomfortable. But if you see something you feel is unusual, start asking questions and alert the appropriate authorities because a lot of times that really helps.
What resources are available locally to support trafficking survivors?
So I know we have our national hotline that any survivors can call, but we also have a lot of local community resources as far as mental health, stuff like that. So if it is somebody who's still within school, your counseling offices have all kinds of resources and such you guys can go towards for any specific number of things. And a lot of that stuff is confidential. They don't not going to say anything unless you start saying you're going to hurt somebody else or yourself, right? Then they have to kind of get you the help for those particular things. But we've also got places throughout the community as far as Goodwill. They have a lot of resources there. The place off South 8th Street, big community center there. They have a ton of resources there as well.
How has technology impacted human trafficking and investigation in recent years?
Okay. Big question covering a lot of topics. I'll break it down into two. We'll start with how has it impacted trafficking. In my experience, I've gone through quite a few classes on learning how this works, how the trafficking operates, and like what signs to look for so that I can help with, right? And technology has made it unfortunately significantly easier for someone to fall victim to it because a lot of times they get trapped into it without even knowing, like, hey, come hang out, and they'll start to hang out more often, start to trust this person, and they'll go, hey, will you do this for me, do that for me, and they'll start to gain trust and kind of treat it as a relationship. And then before they know it, they've been trafficked, and it's not even something they usually realize. But a lot of times that starts through social media, through contact via Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and that's where the predators usually have their ends. Now that's how it's made it worse, right?
Mhm.
But as far as investigation wise, most people don't really think about what they put on their phones and how information is spread throughout their devices on all their accounts. They think, oh, my Snapchat story went away. No, it's still there. It's on a server. And as law enforcement, if we have probable cause, as in reason to believe that a crime has occurred, we can send a legal request called a subpoena to whatever that social media platform is, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and say, hey, can we have this record? And if we have legal reason to do so, they will send us everything that account's ever sent with the exact IP address that's on it and exactly where that person was located at the time so we can backtrack and find evidence that way. But usually that's reactionary versus proactive.
What misconceptions about human trafficking would you like to address?
Most most people think that it's only affects girls. That's not the case. It also affects boys, right? And a lot of people think, well, it's not going to happen to me. This isn't common. This never happens in our area. But we've got some pretty significant stories of just girls from Heritage High School that this has happened to over the last couple of years.
Mhm.
That they've ended up in different towns and unfortunately passed away because of drug overdoses, things of that nature, right? So it's more common than you would think and way more common than we would like. But just awareness, talking, and getting rid of the stigma of talking about it like it's some taboo thing. Yes, it's awful, but the more of your generation, my generation, of anybody, the more people that know about this, the easier it is to spot and the easier it is to combat. But knowledge, first and foremost, is the, like I'd say, a first line of defense for you guys, because if you know what the signs are, or you've heard stories, or you've listened to testimony, then it's a lot easier as a potential victim to go, hey, wait a minute, this is a red flag. I should probably not do this. Just being informed.